Hi, this is Roger and thanks for joining me on my channel. This set of short video clips will show all of my orchids as the growing season gets underway. And then at the end of the season I'll film them all again and do a direct comparison so you can see how they've progressed. These are the befores of the before and after idea. Hope you enjoy them. Okay, this is this first in this set of before and after looks things, so I'll just go over my idea that will probably flow through the whole of these these sets of videos. I don't know how many there'll be, but the reason for doing them is to show everything at the start of the growing season as stated, and then we'll get them all together again in the same order at the end of the growing season. Any additions to the collection probably will get left out on the grounds that it's a direct comparison of what's happened to each plant during that growing season. So any new plants I acquire will get included at the start of the season next year if I repeat the exercise. I'm going to put these clips together in the order of my notes. That's for two reasons. One, it keeps me under control, and secondly, it'll be an awful lot easier to deal with them in a set alphabetical order effectively. So the genus is roughly in alphabetical order, not strict, and then the plants within that are roughly in alphabetical order, although even some of that's not strict, especially when we get into the dendrobium set, which is huge. Anyway, having got rid of Aerangis allicii, starting with this set, the idea is I'll do a collective view. So that's where possible. Some of the collective views would just be too big, so I'll just start with individual plants. But, you know, a genus that's only got half a dozen to a dozen, I suppose, and I can get them all together, we'll start with a collective view. And then you won't see the join, but each one of these plants is going to be done as a separate little clip, so that when I come to put them together with the end of season clips, they're separate. I haven't got to start splitting up videos and messing about like that. You won't see the join. My software does that. So this is Aerangis cretata, and this is a relatively recent acquisition, but currently it has 5 leaves. Some of the roots are showing signs of new root tips, and it has a new growth at the base that to all intents and purposes looks like a new plantlet. So it's going to start another plant. This has bloomed for me before, but those blooms were on it when I got it. This is Aerangis decariana, and effectively it's 2 separate plants. It was bought as one, but there were 2 in there. Both have got new root growth starting, and branches and new root tips on older roots as well. The bottom plant has got 2, 4, 6, 7 leaves on it currently. The top plant has got 2, 4, 6, 7 leaves, and one that's just about to drop off, so 8. So that's the size and sort of state of the plants as they are now. Neither of these have bloomed for me. This is an unbloomed specimens. We'll see how we do during this season. This is Aerangis fastuosa. This has bloomed for me twice. Its current state of play is its old spike is died back. I should trim that off really. And the main plant has got a new leaf growing at the moment, and 2, 4, 5 older leaves, one of which is showing the signs of becoming an ex-leaf relatively soon. But quite recently it's decided to grow a little plantlet out the side. You can see that to the left of the main plant, which has one smallish leaf and a new one coming. And this one has active root growth in places, although not in many places. But it's not a vigorous grower, but you can see little orange root tips in under the plant there, and a couple at the top. So it's in active growth. And this is Aerangis mystacidii, and this has got some active root tips. It's got a good root system, even the older roots hydrate fine. It's difficult to say whether this is more than one plant with plantlets. I think there's at least 2 main plants. There's a little tiny plantlet coming out at the base on the left there, and it looks like there's another one on the right there. So it's 2 main a plant with a large plantlet and two small plantlets coming off the side. And although hardly visible, I'm relatively confident that that funny looking thing dead centre may be a spike. I'm not sure, it's unbloomed for me at the moment. Okay, but yeah, that's a nice little plant. It's one of my favourites, that, in the Aerangis set. Okay. Okay, this is my 3 Brassavolas. Strictly speaking, one is now Rhyncholalia, but it's still in the Brassavola section, and it can live there forevermore as far as I'm concerned. The first one's a hybrid. This is David Sanders, and it's got quite a good root system. It's pushing out new ones at the moment. Start of the growing season, that's expected. Mass round the back, and at the moment, if we start at the back and count every single bulb that's got a leaf, we've got 3 up the top there, 2 out to the left is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's got 9 current bulbs. It does have a new growth coming out in the centre there, which looks like that's starting a new lead, which is good. And that front lead there and the one at the back should actually split off. In fact, the one at the back is already doing it. So potentially 3 leads on that. This has never bloomed for me. I've seen smaller ones than this bloom, but this one hasn't bloomed for me. Okay, this is Brassavola, or Rhyncholalia now, glauca, and recently hacked to pieces from quite a large plant that just seemed to be disintegrating, so I've taken off 2 pieces, one of which is the piece with the massive new root growth on it, and there's an eye to the left of those roots that should actually push on, and another one at the front. But currently that piece has 4 bulbs and a massive new root growth. The other little piece has got 2 bulbs and at the present time no sign of new roots. So that piece may actually be missing by the end of the season, but we'll see how it goes. And this is Brassavola nodosa, currently in bloom. The latest 2 leads both produce spikes. They both had 4 blooms on. Right hand spike starting to fade now. It's already lost 2. There's a third about to fall, and then the left hand spike should actually last a while longer because it opened later. As far as the plant's concerned, it's got quite a good root system. Signs of new root growth below the front lead, and that will be hotly followed by that lead out to the right hand side. Both of those leads are splitting at the base to produce their new growths, so 2 new growths at the current time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, start again, I can't count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bulbs currently, and there should be at least 2 by the end of the season. Hopefully I'd get a third one. In fact, I have to put that down. If you look there, there's a split at the base, so that could be the start of another lead. If I get 3 leads on it, that'll be great. That's potential for more blooms next time round. But plant's doing well, bloomed well, got an award, so yeah, quite good. These are the Brassia-related ones. They're not. I have no Brassia species whatsoever, and no primary crosses or anything. But this is a set that just go together because they've got Brassia in them somewhere. Okay, this one got mounted. This was a free gift basically, so you don't look a gift horse in the mouth. But I mounted it. It didn't look like it was going to grow as big as some of the Brassias do. Effectively, this is a named primary cross. It's actually called Chieftain Ludlow's, and it's Aquigera cross with Verrucosa. Verrucosa is quite a popular species. It's coming on nicely. It's done extensive roots, since most of that is from about early February onwards. It's got 2 eyes that may or may not start to grow, but that's as it looks at the start of the season. 1 very old smallish bulb sticking out to the left there, 2 much larger old bulbs again, and the latest growth on the front that I've grown. So that's Chieftain Ludlow's. This sorry looking individual is only just starting to recover from root loss. So we'll see how this one goes through the season. It's a Brassada, which is a cross between a Brassia and an Ada, which is a separate genus, but they're very closely related. Mivida, lovely bright orangey yellow flowers, spider nonsense obviously. It has got root growth, and it has got active root growth down in the pot, so it is capable of recovering. And since I hacked it and recovered the bits I could, that sort of latest growth there grew. Got bugs all over the leaves when they were young, but it's now pushing up another new growth, and there's signs that there might be a second one at the base of that previous bulb. I'll see how that goes. But anyway, a recovering plant. Now this monstrous tatty looking object is the only true Brassia I've got, even though it's a hybrid. It's Brassia, which I think is a cross from Burnham's, one of their own. But it has very large pseudobulbs that, again, this was being selfish and not repotting the plant when it was in full bloom. Lost its root system and deteriorated quite fast after that. But it's showing good signs now. It's got a nice new growth here, some good roots pushing out and down into the pot. And on the other side, it's two actual separate bits of plant actually, so there's two plants in here. And this one again has got a reasonably strong new growth coming out and plenty of good active root growth underneath. So the two new growths need to push on this season. They may well bloom towards the end of the season. I haven't had a growth on this plant since I got it, and I've had it a while, that didn't bloom. And so I'll say most, in the early days, most of the bulbs actually pushed a bloom out on both sides. So we'll see how that one does, Brassia. Save the best till last. This is a Miltonia, so that's a hybrid between a Miltonia and a Brassia. And this is the famous Shelob Tolkien. Lots of people have got this. I love it. I wouldn't want to be without it. Consequently, I looked after this one a bit better than the others, and this got repotted with the timing virtually spot on. Lots of new growths here, one here with its new roots going straight down into new media. Another nice new growth here. Another nice new growth here, all with new roots pushing out. And the oldest of the new growths, which is now virtually mature, coming up the centre of the plant there, has already done its roots. They're already down in the pot. And that one's in spike. 4 buds on that spike. It should have been 5, but that little one didn't make it. They just do that sometimes. It's a strong, happy plant, that one. I'm well pleased with it. And those blooms are probably a week away from opening, because the blooms are quite large across from the centre outwards, and obviously the buds need to be that big so that when they open, those are the petals and sepals, if you see what I mean. Anyway, coming on nicely, that one. Bulbophyllums then. This is a new genus for me. I've only recently started to go with these. I got my very first one back at last year's RHS show, which would have been April 2016. That was Elizabeth Ann Bucklebury. And then later in the year, Archie sent me some, and I've acquired a few myself. There's 8 here in total, 2 of which are the same, because I split the Elizabeth Ann Bucklebury into back bulbs and, the plant I'm planning on keeping. So that's where I am with those. These are all at various stages of growth. Most have been recently repotted or mounted in one case. So let's do that one and get that one out of the way first. This was the plant itself is a miniature Bulbophyllum, Skimiense I think, and it seemed to lend itself to the sort of plant that could spread around this type of mount. The mount was a gift from Oliver, greatly appreciated, and I think this plant should push on well. It's not showing huge signs of doing that yet, but this hasn't long been done. These roots have got to get in through that moss into that media and get a hold, and then hopefully take off. But what we could sort of look out for is the new growths on this. You've got 2 out this side. They're the paler colour leaves, so they're reasonably obvious. 1 in the middle there, one at the top and one out to the left with a leaf that's not quite open yet. So that's the sort of stage that one's at. Now this one is a guess with the name. It's one of Archie's, and he's pretty sure it was Crassipes, if that's how you pronounce it, but he wasn't absolutely sure. Hopefully we get a bit of confirmation when it blooms. But really long rhizomes. I had basically 3 bulbs spread out all over the place. I've managed to squash it into a pot, so 3 back bulbs effectively, but it has very recently started a new growth off the side of that bulb. Yet again, right up against the side of the pot, so cheers for that. But that won't be a bulb, that will be a rhizome. So it's probably just going to climb out over the top of the pot and have a bulb hanging in the air. That's what they do, or some of them. This is Bulbophyllum dearei. The stage of growth on this one, again recently repotted, signs of some new roots pushing down, and at the moment it has 2 new growths, one pushing out there towards the back of the plant and one pushing out there to the side of what was the lead. The other new growth actually failed on it, but 2 new growths to push on and signs of new root growth on that one. I'll get this one out of the way next because it keeps wanting to fall over. It's a bit lopsided. This is effectively 3 back bulbs taken off of the Elizabethan buckleberry when I divided it. They haven't long been in there, and at the moment, from what I can see, there are no signs of new growths and no signs of new roots. It doesn't matter much to me whether they grow or not, but it was worth a try. It's a very sellable plant. It's probably one of the most popular and well-known Bulbophyllums. So if I get new growths on all 3 of those back bulbs, I've got a pot full of Elizabethan buckleberry to sell. And this is the actual plant Elizabethan buckleberry that is most of what I bought. A few little bits got taken off, mainly to try and cram it in a pot. I'm determined to keep this one controlled. It's a bit of a rampant rambler, this one. As far as new growths are concerned, that's its latest new growth hanging out the side of the pot. There's a limit to what you can do. That has its own new set of roots, as is its trait. There's a few new roots coming out of the one behind it, and it's basically just crammed in there. So I'll wait and see what it does. But hopefully some more new growths will push out in various places. It had some reasonable roots on a lot of the growths, so there is a root system down in there. But you know, with that new growth out to the left there, we can film that in the same position next time round and see what it's done in a growing season. Let's get this stupid giant thing out of the way. This is Bulbophyllum phalaenopsis. I mean, that's the front of the leaf, which makes more sense to look at, but that literally started to push out something at the base, so it's that way round to have given that, what I thought was going to be a nice new growth, room to grow, and blow me, it's turned out to be a spike. No doubt now. There was at the beginning, but that is a spike. I'm dreading it. Stinky flipping object. But the nice thing is, I don't know whether the camera can pick it up, but about 1 centimetre to the left of the base of that spike is the first sign of a new root. There are no live roots at the moment on the base of that single bulb, and no signs of new growths, just that stupid stinky flower spike. Still, we'll see how it goes. This is probably my favourite of the Bulbophyllums I've got. I like the leaf shape, I like the leaf colour, I like the fact the rhizomes are short. Yeah, I just like this one. This is a hybrid Wilbur Chan. It's got a new growth coming out there, right up against the side of the pot. Cheers for that. And it's got another new growth coming out this side. So effectively we've got 6 bulbs, all with leaves on, and a new growth progressing and a new growth just starting. So that's the state of play there. This had a reasonable root system when it was potted. I see no reason why this shouldn't push on nicely now. The last one is Deletescens, and this had 3 old bulbs, one of which is a bit buried, but I had no flipping choice, just because of the shape of the rhizomes, and most of the original plant is up the back of the pot there. I'm hoping that at least one of those bulbs will produce a new growth, because at the moment the only new growth stuck out the side, luckily across the centre of the pot, and has now been strapped down to hopefully get its roots into the media. So yeah, three older bulbs on that one and one new growth progressing. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to click the like button. If you didn't, you know what to do. And if you want to see more videos like this and my other videos, including culture, care, repotting, mounting and mainly orchid related topics, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. That way you won't miss out on anything. And thanks for dropping by. See you next time.